order the December 17th meeting of the Victoria Planning Commission. And I ask you at this time, if anybody has any cell phones, to please silence them. Okay. Our first order of business is approval of the meeting minutes from our previous meeting on November 19th.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, we have a one by Mr. Woods. Anybody second our motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Ms. Herrera. Vote of hands or ayes or nays?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so meeting minutes pass. Next item on the agenda, citizens' communication. So if anybody wishes to address the commission about something not on the agenda, can do so now. Okay, so I don't see anybody that would be interested in doing that, so let's go ahead and get into our formal reviews.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, first on the agenda is a variance to Section 21-82J, which requires a manufactured home to be placed on a separately platted private lot. The subject property consists of 0.43 acres at 4304 Hanselman Road. The property is located near the intersection of Hanselman Road and Anthony Road. The owner wishes to apply for a variance to place a manufactured home on a property that already contains a single-family residence. The Subdivision Development Ordinance, Section 21-82J, requires that a manufactured home be placed on a separately platted lot. Currently, it does not allow for a placement of a manufactured home on the same property as an already existing single-family residence. However, the ordinance does allow for an accessory dwelling unit to be placed on the same property as an existing structure. Although manufactured homes cannot be used as accessory dwelling units, another structure could be constructed on the property to serve as a residence, as long as it does not exceed 800 square feet in size. The property owner wishes to relocate a relative's manufactured home onto the property to be able to easily assist the relative with problems related to their health. As we all know, the variance, or to approve a variance for the subdivision ordinance, it must meet the following 5 criteria. The criteria are: the granting of the variance will not be detrimental to the public safety, health, or welfare, or be injurious to the surrounding property. The grant of the variance is not based on a hardship which is self-imposed. The hardship is not based solely on the cost of complying with the regulation. The granting of the variance will not have the effect of preventing the orderly development of other land in the area in accordance with the provisions of this chapter, and there are special or unique circumstances or conditions affecting the land involved, such that strict application of the provisions of this chapter would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the property. Staff feels that this variance does not meet 2 of the criteria, these being the second and third. Staff believes the hardship is self-imposed because the owner could place an accessory dwelling unit on the property instead of the manufactured home. The property currently conforms to applicable regulations, and current regulations allow the development of an additional unit on the property, but not a manufactured home as proposed. As well, staff believes that an accessory dwelling unit is an acceptable alternative. However, the owner wishes to move the manufactured home onto the property because it's already owned by the proposed occupant. Staff recommends denial of the subdivision variance request, as staff believes that the hardship is based on cost and is self-imposed due to the ability for the homeowner to construct an accessory dwelling unit on the property and not require a variance to the subdivision ordinance. And I can answer any questions you might have, or the applicant is here as well.
What's the size of the mobile home? You have the dimensions?
I know it's larger than 800 square feet, but I don't remember. It's just a standard manufactured
Single wide,
home size.
double wide?
Single wide.
Single wide? How big?
We can
Why
open it
don't we wait and we'll address. I think it's Ms. Nelson. We'll address those issues later. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Charles?
Not at this stage.
Well, okay, great. Well, I just have, when you say an accessory dwelling unit, is that like constructing an actual 800 square foot?
Yeah, it would meet all international building code regulations and requirements. It just has to be 800 square feet. They don't have their own water and sewer. They're connected to those. And one of the main requirements of those, though, is that they can't be manufactured homes. So,
Does Ms. Little currently reside in this mobile home?
Yes, but on a different property
Different
in town.
location?
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering how, if she's a CVA patient, in other words, she's had a stroke, how easily a mobile home actually works for her disabilities. You know?
That when
For the applicant.
the applicant comes forward. Does anybody else have any more questions for Mr. Charles?
Not right now.
Okay. Would the applicant like to say anything on their behalf? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the, please come to the podium, please. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Cheryl Thompson. My address is 4306 Hanselman Road, Victoria, Texas 77901. My property is adjacent, right next to the property. The 4304 is our homestead property where we were raised. I have a lot right next to it. The homestead, my sister stays, and in the back was the other manufactured home. You asked about my sister's ability to move. She can move around. The problem is her communication. I think y'all have letters. A speech therapist and her neurologist and her family doctor. This is purely to keep her at ability. Everything's been taken away from her. She was vibrant in the community, in our church, an asset to the children, being raised in Bible study and all this stuff. She taught all that stuff. And I'm doing my best to not take everything away from her. So the ability to communicate, she doesn't live far from me now, but if something goes on, when she gets really excited, all she's going to do is cry. And if my house is here, the mobile home would be where Miss Lila is sitting pretty much. I can get there just like that. She can continue to kind of live on her own, and we can all be there to take care of her. Like right now, if I wasn't here, she would still be trying to work with our youth department at Feast of Sharing right now. This is very hard for me because my sister was kind of like my rock. And to see her to go the way she is now and to study have to take stuff away from her is very disheartening. She's not that old to be left like that. And so I want to try to give her some semi-independence, where she can still function as a person in the community, still trying to do things positive. And I know that would be an asset to her, to be able to live somewhat on her own.
How big is the mobile home? You know the dimensions
Oh, gosh.
approximately within?
It's a single wide. It's
Okay,
not,
single
it's
wide?
not, yeah, it's a single wide mobile home. Yes, it is.
You know the year model?
It's, gosh, I wish I would have bought it. It's, let me
5
see.
years old, 10 years old?
Yeah, it's over 10 years old. It is.
Over 10.
The church just put her a brand new deck. Northside Church, they came and helped put her a new deck. The mobile home is still in good shape. There's nothing wrong with the mobile home. It's older, but she's kept it up.
You said the current distance where she's living now to your residence is
I
what?
stay on 4306. She lives on Longtree, 2501 Longtree Road, that Paradise.
trailer park?
In that trailer park, yes, that's where she stays. It's not a long ways, but when your sister in panic, trying to get to your sister, she's crying, you get in a state of panic too, not knowing what you're going to find when you get there. There is like disability as far as you're talking about walking and stuff is fine, but her ability, her strength is not very. I mean, if somebody would try to come in on her or something, she wouldn't be able to.
But she currently has neighbors, correct?
She has, it's one in front of her. I don't know who stays behind her at all. I know the people, but not know them. You know what I'm saying? I know who lives there.
It's going to be quite an expense to move the mobile home, is it not?
It will. It will, but I know they're talking about building another dwelling. It'll be cheaper to move the mobile home than for us to try to build.
As
She
far
doesn't
as
have any money,
Tying
another
it
structure.
into the sewer, do you have septic system, you on city sewer,
City.
city? So you're gonna have the expense of it, is that allowable to tie in another residence that way? Expense-wise?
Yeah, I mean, the same as an accessory dwelling unit, we would ask that this be tied into the service of the main house. If the commission is also inclined to approve the variance, staff would also recommend placing the condition that it be for a one-time placement. So if this manufactured home were to ever be removed, then another variance would be required to place another manufactured home.
Absolutely.
And that's why she's seeking this variance rather than a variance to the subdivision regulations to divide the property. We felt it was a much less permanent solution.
Yeah, it strictly would be just for her. It's not for anybody else to come move on it or live in it. If we have to move it or whatever the case may be when something happens, it's just for the care for her.
That was my next question, is if it could be replatted to two separate lots to make it complete?
Not without multiple variances from
The lot size?
right-of-way, things like that,
Right-of-way.
right-of-way dedication. So this would be a less permanent solution, this variance.
So how would we, I guess in the event that the circumstances change, how would we be informed and then take a different action if necessary?
I'm not sure I follow your question.
So let's just say we give the permit now because of her sister's condition. In the event her sister's condition change or whatever
But
happens,
It would be for this home, so we would not be able to police who is living in the manufactured home. So if you condition it to just one building permit, one placement, so long as this manufactured home were on that lot, then it would be okay, no matter who was living there.
Okay.
But if there was ever a demo permit or moving permit was pulled to remove it, then another one would not be able to be placed on it without
okay,
another variance, if you were to condition this variance to that.
okay, thank you.
That's part of my concern, is not the placement of it, but 5-10 years from now, if it's no longer needed and it's not removed from the property, don't have to because it has a variance, and now we have a home that is 20 years old on this property that's never removed. The neighbors want to know why it's still there. Property owners change. Now you have a home that's vacant and not being taken care of if things were to take place. And that's my concern, is how do you get it removed at that point? You couldn't force them to take it off the property if it became abandoned.
Well, if it becomes substandard, then we have the substandard abatement process through the Building and Standards Commission. But so long as it is not in a substandard condition, then yes, it would be able to remain.
I'm not just looking, understand your requirements or your needs, but also the maintaining the property value of your neighbors' properties around you. What would it do to them if down the road something were to happen to her, or she needs to go to an additional level of care, and then that home is still there unoccupied, not being maintained or what have you? I'm not saying you would. I'm just saying I have to look at it from the property owners around you and maintaining their values, and not do something that would be detrimental to them 10 years from now, and we can't go back and remedy it.
I understand.
And it's not the emotional side of it. It's I've
I
got to look at
understand. I understand what you're saying.
the owners of the property around you.
I don't know if y'all looked at the properties around me.
I drove
I'm
by
not
there. It
trying
would
to be.
conform
I'm not
what's in
trying
the
to be
neighborhood.
No, yes, ma'am.
ugly by any means.
No, I understand.
And I understand what you're saying. We have some really good neighbors. We take care of each other in the neighborhood. If there's any kind of stipulation that could be put on there, if something would happen and we have to report it or whatever, we don't have a problem with that at all. We don't have a problem with even if we have to move it or we have to sell it or whatever, she's not able to live in it. It's just for her right now. It's for her care. That's all it's about. Our houses that are around there, we keep up our property. It's not, but we don't, it's not trashed out.
No, I understand.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just trying to say we're not people that don't take care of what God has blessed us with, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why I said no disrespect to you. It's
Yeah,
just,
I
I'm looking
understand.
down the road when conditions change, people change, neighbors change. Can you pull up the picture?
But the mobile home is not, it's an older mobile home, but it's not in bad shape at all.
The
even where
red
it's
line,
at.
is the red line the property line?
That would be the property line, yes.
That is the actual property line. So access to this home comes from where?
Left side.
The dirt road?
Yes, left side, straight
That,
down.
that road going down to the left is not your road, is it?
Yes, that's our homestead property. That's my sister's.
So it's platted, it has two different separate lots, the red square, and then also it extends further back and then goes around. That section, they're both owned by you and your sister?
That's the first, the homestead, the one in the house in the front, belongs to my sister Joyce Dean. And the one in the back is a mobile home, and that's Doris Drain. I'm right next to it. That's me right next to, not the white, that's a shed behind, a building behind me, I should say.
Okay.
The little square?
Who lives in the house up front?
That's my sister, Joyce Dean. That was a homestead. That's, where we grew up.
Okay. So you're wanting to put the mobile home on her property?
Yes, she doesn't have a problem with it at all. Because we were all taking care of her.
Okay, so she still lives there by herself? Or
My
I'm
sister?
just trying to figure out, she couldn't come here, I'm just, no.
Oh, yes, she could have came here, but I
I'm
didn't
just
know
curious.
she.
So she's wanting it on her property, okay. And then you live next door?
Yes, sir.
4304 is the home in the back.
No, sir, it's the one in the front. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
it would
kinda
be
hard to
inside that
see.
little square. It would fit. It looks good.
Yeah, it could fit on there.
That lot is about, whenever I looked at it, I think it's like about 14,000 square feet. So it would fit.
I guess, and I'm looking, you're wanting to put it on the one that has the red square. If for some reason, a few years from now, she needs to go to a different level of care,
Yes, sir.
you have this home sitting here and y'all decide to keep it there, if someone wanted to rent it out or what have you, you have no way of accessing it other than easement to the next property adjoining it, correct?
Yes, it's-
I'm just trying to figure the logistics of these two lots.
There is access to the front of the home. Regulations don't say that you have to have the driveway within
Paved.
70 feet of the front door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody have any, it's Miss Thompson, correct?
I'm sorry. Yes,
Does
yes,
anybody
sir.
have any more questions of Miss Thompson? No? Bruce? All right. Thank you, Miss Thompson.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all's time.
I guess we'll go to deliberations for the commission itself and talk amongst ourselves.
I'll just go ahead and make a motion to approve the variance as presented.
I'll second. With the condition. That should have ever come off that.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rashid and a second by Mr. Spears. All those in favor of approving the variance, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm just going to abstain. I'm not comfortable with it.
Abstain, we have one abstain, okay. So the ayes have it.
All right. Next on the agenda is 1402 Elizabeth Street. This is the Stubblefield subdivision. It's a variance section 20-83A, which requires a minimum of 50 feet of clearance between the driveway and the nearest intersecting street right-of-way line. The subject property consists of 1.352 acres located at 1402 Elizabeth Road. This property was constructed prior to the current city regulations and is considered a legally pre-existing non-conforming development. Earlier this year, the applicant purchased the abandoned right-of-way of George Street, as well as from the city of Victoria, as well as the adjacent property behind it up into the existing railroad right-of-way. This purchase was in anticipation of expanding their current facility. The expansion plan requires that the site conditions on the property to come into conformance with the current regulations. The applicant is requesting a reduction in the required distance separation to North Lawrence Street to allow an existing driveway to remain. The driveway ordinance requires 50 feet of separation between a driveway on a local street and the intersection of an arterial street. Currently, the driveway is located on Elizabeth Street, approximately 29 feet from its intersection with Lawrence Street. Due to the configuration of the building and the need for trucks to pull through it, the owner feels that it would not be possible to move the driveway to 50 feet from the intersection and still serve as an exit to fleet trucks from the facility. Section 20-83A requires a minimum of 50 feet of clearance between the driveway and the nearest intersecting street right-of-way line. Due to the configuration of the building, staff believes that moving the driveway to a location that would be in compliance would not be possible so long as the driveway is to be used as an exit for fleet trucks. The driveway is used in its current location to service the existing structure, which predates the current ordinance and the building configurations on the site, as well as the operations inside and make it difficult to maintain current operations without the existing driveway. Staff recommends approval of the driveway variance request with conditions, as staff believes altering the existing driveway will result in an unnecessary and extraordinary hardship by significantly altering existing operation development on site. If the commission is inclined to approve a variance to section 20-83A, staff recommends that the variance be granted with the requirement that the parking spaces accessed by the driveway be removed and for the driveway to be used as an exit-only one-way driveway. Staff believes this condition would minimize the potential queuing of vehicles that are maneuvering into the site on Lawrence Street. And this is also for the driveway ordinance, so it doesn't meet the same 5 requirements as the subdivision ordinance. And I can answer any questions, or the applicant is here as well.
Didn't we approve a variance for this?
That was for the plat. This is
We approved the
yeah,
plat,
that was- yeah.
plat revision.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Charles? No? Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Charles. I see the applicants here. Does anybody want to say anything on behalf of the applicant? Okay. Any public here, any comments from the commissioners? Okay, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Okay.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Rashid and a second by Mr. Koenig to approve the variance. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Any abstained? I'm just kidding. Okay, the ayes have it. Sorry.
And I asked before we get into the Development Services Monthly Development Report, I would like for you to look on the dais. You should have a handout that lists our upcoming dates in February for the final public meetings for our comprehensive plan. Is also, if you go to the city's website, you will find that the existing city portion of the plan, it has been in final draft mode and posted on the website. And we will begin publishing or publicizing the fact that we have the existing city final draft out there after the holidays. I would also like to ask Thomas Gush to come up here and introduce our new assistant city attorney.
Chairman Hayek and Commissioners of the Planning Commission, good evening. For the last several years, Ms. Linda Champion, the Assistant City Attorney, has been at these meetings with you, advising you on legal matters. She's also been working diligently in my office, assisting me on every manner of legal duties with the city. I am saddened to say that she has chosen to retire from the city. I am excited for her opportunities in the future, but she will be leaving the city, and this is her last meeting with the Planning Commission. I know that you will want to join me after the meeting in congratulating her on her time with the city and thanking her for her service to the citizens of the community. I'm excited tonight to introduce to you Allison Marek, who brings to the city 8 years of legal experience, both in the private sector and in public service. She's going to be a great addition to the office. She's been in my office now for almost 2 weeks. I think she's still drinking from a fire hose in terms of the volume of information that's coming at her pretty quickly. But she's going to be a great addition to the office, and she'll be helping out in advising the Planning Commission as well.
Well, welcome aboard. Good. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
So for the monthly development report, so this month we had 2 minor plats as well as 2 site plans for the St. Joseph Practice Gym and as well as the YMCA. As far as city council action, the text amendment for sign ordinance that we was approved by Planning Commission a while back was denied by city council. As well, for the monthly activity report, we had 133 building permits pulled this year so far. 10 of these were for single-family residential, as well as 2 for commercial new construction. This is about similar to what it was this time last year. As far as MEP permits, or mechanical, electrical, and plumbing permits, we pulled 138, which is a little bit less than it was last year. And then for permit fees, we've collected $48,916 so far, which is more than it was the previous year. Any questions?
I just have a question to remind me of what's being built next to the building where Chipotle is.
Oh, that's that Honda, Victory Honda.
Yes.
And then I think Kia will
Okay.
move over to their other one. And then Discount Tires going on
Right.
Rio Grande and
Yeah, I saw that.
no Lubies.
Go ahead, Mr. Woods.
I'm waiting.
No, does anybody else have any comments, questions?
Just,
I just want to congratulate Ms. Champion on her retirement. and
Yes.
Thank you for your
Yes,
service.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I would like to say that whenever we have, this is my personal comment, a variance come before the commission, that staff has that didn't meet 2 parts of the variance request, that we not be so quick to go into it with a vote without a little more further deliberation, because just personal opinion, I think we may have rushed it a little bit. No offense, Omar, but I think I have to respect staff's recommendation to deny it. Did not meet 2 recommendations, or 2 of the requirements for a variance, not just 1, but 2. I don't want us to just rush into something that we could regret.
Fair, your point is well taken, Bruce. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion, we have a motion from Mr. Woods, a second? Second. All right, Ms. Herrera, we're all adjourned.